What's up, everyone? It's Wacko. Welcome you to another video about new megas. This time we're going to be ranking all of the new megas in Legends EA, both the base game and the DLC, which dropped um, like almost 2 weeks ago, which is crazy since the game only dropped 2 months ago, and they already released the DLC. So basically, we have all of the new megas except for one, but we know its stats, and um, we kind of, based on like Legends ZAOU, we'll kind of know how it plays. However, this won't be based on ZAOU. This will be based on a draft league context before Champions. Because you know what, that makes me it makes me make another tier list after uh, after the abilities release. So, well, the proper abilities. I think we know like one or two of them what they'll get, but I'd like to rank them before abilities, and then I kind of want to compare um, how much these guys will improve or get worse potentially, depending on what abilities they receive in Champions. If they, assuming that they all release at the same time in Champions. If not, I'm hoping Champions might be data mineable, because I think Champions will be on Switch 1 and mobile, so I assume if they're in the code, then we'll know what they have, and in case they have any stat changes or whatnot. So yeah, um, these guys are all just they're in a fake order because this tier list has all of the megas. Oh, they actually put the Gen 3 starters in there like properly. Um, I made a tier list for myself like a while back, and um, they didn't have those icons in there, but I like the Legend ZA icons, so that's what I'll be using. And yeah, unfortunately, our first mon that I'm gonna have to talk about is Scovillain, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it in Pray for it. This mon, I think it kind of cooks like in its base form. I think it's a bit underrated as a chlorophyll sweeper, but 108 in its offenses is very not great. Its defenses and its HP are also not great. Um, Grass Fire is a good typing. As a Mega, I guess you could say it can kind of suffer from not being able to run boots. I don't think that would be like too big of an issue, but I think in a draft league context, I think it's more safe to just pick Venusaur, or if it's Gen 9, especially like Terra Venusaur. So yeah, and I'm kind of thinking of this in like a context, especially for my people in SDS, because we are doing a draft starting next week. I have Weather Rocks banned, so Scovillain is just gonna have to pay the price for that, unless you guys really want me to allow Weather Rocks for it. But even with Weather Rocks, I still think it's a pray for it mon, because I think you'd rather use Venusaur, which has the poison typing, it has Earth Power, it has Weather Ball, and while Scovillain is okay since it has like stab boosted fire as well as sun, I can imagine that its fire moves would hit very, very hard. It's just very unreliable, I think. It's not bulky enough, and they didn't even make it faster, so unfortunately they gave it that Gen 3 stat spread where it's very frail, very slow, and it has like mixed attack stats for no reason. But yeah, and they did give it some tools in ZA, like Nasty Plot, and I think they gave it Flare Blitz, so I'm hoping to see someone maybe pick this up and prove me wrong. I do think it has potential, but I think at most it would be like a niche pick. But for now, we're gonna pray for it. Excadrill, I think, is a strong round 1 pick. I would initially put it in great with support, but I think in a bigger draft league context, I don't think you need Sand with Excadrill. It's just very much a better mon with Sand, even if Weather Rocks are banned, which I think most leagues should ban them, but I guess that's just me and the people in SDS that think that. But Assuming that Weather Rocks aren't banned, this is definitely a strong round one pick. I think Mega Excadrill in a Draft League context is probably top 5, top 4, maybe even top 3. And I think I will order the tiers, but yeah, 103 speed is very strong. 165 attack, 100 defense. They even increased its special attack by a little bit, which is okay, because I think it would have been broken if they just increased its special defense that way. And it's very bulky on the HP side too, so you can make it tank hits. I've seen other Mega Excadrills take hits from other Mega Excadrills, so like Earthquake specifically, which is pretty insane. Strong round 1 pick. I've also used it a little bit in a team tour. I didn't really like it, to be fair, but I think it's because I didn't draft it with sand, and every other Excadrill team had sand on it, so I think that was just a skill issue on my part. Unfortunately, we're going to have another Pray for it here. We're going to have Pyroar, which I think is a little bit better than Scovillain because it doesn't rely as much on outside factors as much as Scovillain would. The unfortunate thing for Pyroar is I would love to put it here. I think it could potentially end up here. I don't think Pyroar is that bad because it actually has, like, it has a good speed stat of, like, what, 126? 129 special attack, which isn't the best, but I think its bulk was increased overall to where it can kind of tank some hits. I believe... Did they give it Nasty Plot, or is it still just Workup? It might actually just be Workup, but I think they need to give Pyro Nasty Plot, I think. But yeah, its stats were all just increased by 20, which is a little bit unfortunate that they put so little care into, and I think its design, I like its design, but I know that other people don't like it that much, and yeah, it's just unfortunate. I think Brundon will probably use it in SDS, so I'm hoping to see Pyroar do something there. The problem with it is rivalry mostly, which is kind of a double-edged sword, because I think if you're a smart player and you know you're using Pyroar as like your 2-point low tier, you could probably find like a couple matchups where you can just make the gender whatever you need it to be stuff like Lando, Enam, Thundurus, Torn, Ogerpon, Mandibuzz, like stuff like that, and I think Pyroar has some potential there. You could also get lucky with the genders you draw, so yeah. Malamar, unfortunately, I think is the worst Mega. It's kind of a toss-up between Scovillain and Malamar is the worst one. I kind of feel bad that I have all of the Pray for It's in a row here. I didn't do that on purpose. I kind of... When I made a tier list on my own just to see how I'd place things to help me a little bit, and I guess all the Pray for It guys just kind of ended up next to each other. I think Malamar is, like, okay. It has potential with close combat in its move pool. I'm hoping Champions does give most of these guys like their ZA upgrades, especially stuff like Starmie Triple Axle, Malamar Close Combat. Hopefully not Golurk Fissure, because I think they're trying to like kill the game with that one, but if some of these move pool additions end up being true, then good. Malamar kind of needs all the buffs it can get. Its stats are just too underwhelming to really do anything, and its typing is not good. Like, I think being a normal type is better, like just a normal type, because its only resistance is I think its only resist is Psychic, and it's an immunity, and it's 4 times weak to Bug, and I think that's all it gets defensively, so it's really not that good. When you have 88 speed and you're weak to U-turn, when like half of the Mons in general get U-turn now, especially a couple of them with ZA buffs getting U-turn, which we'll talk about soon. So yeah, Malamar is just really bad, unfortunately. Raichu, I think, is a niche pick. I could potentially see it being like a fun low tier. I kind of grouped together low and mid tier because I think there's solid mid tiers, but there's also like fun picks that are both mid tier and low tier. So I just kind of place those together, and I will kind of order them anyways. But I don't think I can place Raichu in the fun mon list. I think it's going to be more niche. We kind of know its ability. Um, in the game, it gets a +1 attack boost when it clicks Volt Tackle, and I'm not sure how stat boosts actually work in ZA. Like if you spam a move, if you can kind of just keep increasing your attack, or if it kind of tops off after like a +1 boost would be. And I'm not even sure if a +1 boost is actually +1. I don't really know any ZA calcs because when I play on ranked, I'm spamming my Mega Excalibur and clicking Glaive Rush and killing everything in front of me, and I don't know any damage rolls. But yeah, Raichu, it kept the same speed as normal Raichu, but it did get bulkier, which is nice. And its attack set is improved. It's just they didn't increase its special attack a lot. Or, I don't think they increased its special attack at all. I think they just increased defenses and attack. They might have lowered. Did they lower special attack? Oh no, I'm thinking its defense stats are a lot higher than I remembered. But I'm pretty sure it's like 95 in both, which really isn't enough considering its HP is like 60 or like 65, so it's really not even bulky. Which is unfortunate because I think they gave Raichu Y like some pretty decent treatment. Next up we have Phalanx. I think Phalanx is also kind of a niche pick. I thought potentially I could put it in like mid-tier, like mid-low tier, but I've seen people use it in like ZA tours or just in like ZA OU, and I just feel like it doesn't hit hard enough, and it kind of gets destroyed by like every fairy, every psychic type, every flying type. Sure, after no retreat, it can outspeed a lot of stuff now because 100 base speed is pretty solid, especially on a mon that can Omni Boost. And its defense and attack being 135 is pretty good. It's not really enough for it, and I feel like it's kind of just outclassed by something like Komao in general. And I know Komao's like higher tier, but like Komao being part Dragon type, having like Boom Burst coverage or like special coverage, is just a lot better for it. And they're both kind of just mirror herb baits anyways, so I can't really see Phalanx like being that high. Honestly, I think it's probably worse than Raichu now that I think about it. Next up we have Embor. I really did put these guys like all. That must be the way I like put them back on my thing. But yeah, Embor I think is another like niche pick. It might be above Raichu. They kind of didn't increase its attack stat enough to really justify using Embor, and they didn't increase its speed to justify using Mega Embor. I think they increase its special defense to like what 110, I think, which is pretty solid. I think it has 110 HP, 110 special defense. I think it also has like 110 special attack, which is kind of cool. So you could use it mixed, but I think its defense and its speed are too low to really justify using it over like regular Embor or like Blaziken or Infernape because they're a lot faster. They get abilities that can help boost their damage. They have strong move pools. Embor just doesn't really have that, and especially in the Natdex format the way it is right now, since we don't know abilities, is kind of just stuck with Blaze, which is not as good as Reckless. And yeah, you'd rather use like Choice Band regular Embor if you're just trying to delete things. So yeah, I could see it potentially going up. It needs a good ability, and that's kind of how it is right now. Scolipede, I would say they made it worse, but I've actually seen Scolipede do a lot of work in a team tour thanks to Trant. I'm not on his team, but I've seen his replays, and I've seen Scolipede pop off. Its defensive typing is not very good. It's still Bug Poison, but its offenses are a lot better with, I think, 149... Is it 149 attack or 140 attack and then 149 in defense? I think that might be what it is. I think it's 140 attack, 149 defense, 99 special defense or something like that. And they increase its special attack by a lot, even though it has like no special moves. I even checked. I'm pretty sure it only learns like 2 special moves, so it kind of sucks there. They also decrease its speed by like 50, but I think if you can use base Scolipede with speed boost, and get off an SD, and then get another speed boost, I think Mega Scolipede is a pretty solid sweeper, but it really needs a lot of support. And I wouldn't really say it's a great mon with support either. It's a fun low tier, mid tier. I hope that in Champions that they let it keep Gunk Shot and U-Turn, because those are very good additions on it. And you could use Scolipede as like a pivot. I don't think it'd be as good as Beedrill as a pivot, but being bulkier is always nice for it. Unfortunately, it just has a lot of stuff going against it, unfortunately. Next up, we have Clefable. I think Clefable is just a mid-tier. Regular Clefable is just better currently, having the ability to run different abilities, whereas Mega Clef is stuck with Cute Charm currently, and it's kind of just worse Togekiss. I can see potential in it with its move pool, though, because although Togekiss's move pool is great, Clefable's is just even better. And it has a lot more potential, especially with like Calm Mind, Cosmic Power. It has knockoff still, Moonblast, which Togekiss doesn't get, Air Slash, Flamethrower, stuff like that. So it has a lot of potential, but I don't really see a point in using it over regular Clefable or Togekiss in that sense. But if it gets a good ability, if it keeps Magic Guard, I think Clefable would probably just move up to like great with support. But for now, I think it's just a mid-tier, and I think with its tools, I would put it in mid-tier over fun low mid-tier, because it has tools that are really nice for draft, whereas stuff like Scolipede gets like spikes and stuff, but you don't really need to do that. Frostlass, I think, is another mid-tier. Its typing is a bit more like, how do I say it? Ice Ghost it's a good offensive typing, but it doesn't really cover like any necessary things that you need on a good draft. So Frostlass is kind of more. Actually, I think I'm gonna put it here. Not that it's anywhere near like Scolipede's echelon. I think it's a lot better than Scolipede. Its speed stat is really nice at 120. Has 140 special attack. I think 100 defense. Special defense, I mean. So it was really solid stats. But its moves, I think, are a little bit weak when it's relying on Ice Beam and Shadow Ball. Or status moves like Hex, or like T-Wave, Wisp, Hex, stuff like that. Or like Nasty Plot. They did give it Nasty Plot in this gen, in ZA, which is nice. And for coverage, it gets Thunderbolt, which is okay, but I think I'd rather have Freeze Dry. Frostlass is okay. It's just not really gonna be like anything too amazing unless it gets a good ability like Snow Warning. Currently, it cannot be run. Currently, its ability is Snow Cloak, which in most drafts until Champions is out, it's not going to be allowed to use Snow. Well, it's not going to be allowed to be drafted with Snow Setters, so you can't really increase its defense that much. Unfortunately. Victory Bell is, I think, a solid niche pick, but it's probably outclassed. Currently, its primary ability is Chlorophyll, so it's going to keep Chlorophyll, which is nice. I think that's the better of the abilities, because you're not going to get anything on a Gluttony, so of course Chlorophyll is going to be the better ability. And it has a solid move pool with Butterball, Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave. I don't think it gets Gunk Shot. It gets like Poison Jab, Leaf Blade, stuff like that. But I think it's still just worse than Venusaur if you're using it on a Sun team. But as a defensive pick, it has potential defensively with Strength Sap. So I think if it gets a solid ability, especially an ability where it can hit Steel types like it was shown in like all the trailers and like its Dex entries and stuff, if it gets like a buffed version of Corrosion, it would be like instantly just a good mid tier. I even use it in ZA OU, and it's pretty solid there. At least before the DLC dropped. I haven't tested it since. Tatsugiri is, I think, a fun low slash mid tier. Its stats are not anything to strive for really, but it's gonna do what it always does with the nasty plot, rapid spin, Dragon Pulse or Draco plus Hydro Pump or Surf. That's kind of all it needs, and it has some move pool buffs where they gave it like Flip Turn, they gave it Ice Beam, they gave it Dark Pulse, I think, Calm Mind, I think. So it has quite a bit of potential. Its defenses were increased by like 30 each, which is really solid. So it's still a solid SPDF wall, but they also made it like usable defensively, sort of. It's not the best thing in the world because HP is like pretty low, but I think it's better than like a niche pick. I think it's gonna be more of a fun pick where it's not really like a functional like bulky water like a. I guess you could use it as a pivot, but I don't think it's going to be very good at doing that. If you're trying to use it as like a pivot with Calm Mind, like, or with Calm Mind potential, I think you'd rather use like Milotic. But I think Tatsu, you know what? I'll put it like top of niche. The more I talk about it, the more I don't really like it. But it has a lot of sweeper. It has a lot of sweeper potential, kind of like Scolipede. I think it might be easier to set up than Scolipede too. Actually, you know what? I will put it here. I think I'll put Scolipede behind it, but it's gonna stay below Frostlass. We'll see. I think Scolipede, its point echelon is, or its point tier is a bit higher than Tatsugiri, but yeah. Feraligatr is gonna be a fun low slash mid tier. It's kind of just, it's just a water dragon type with Dragon Dance, and because its ability right now is just Torrent, it doesn't really have like regular Feraligatr with Life Orb Sheer Force is just stronger, but having Dragon Stab and having decent bulk to go with it is solid. I'm not sure if it's going to be better with Dragon Dance sets or if it's going to be better with like Swords Dance sets, but it does kind of need setup to really do anything, unfortunately. Floette, I think Floette probably goes there. I could say that it's pretty outclassed currently, especially with its move pool just being a worse Florges. But Mega Floette, its speed stat is solid enough where I would justify using Floette as a bulky fairy, but you could also run it fast as it can speed tie Garchomp, and it can outspeed stuff like Landorus. If you can get off a Calm Mind, I'm gonna assume Moonblast is gonna hit like a truck. The problem with it is that it really only has Moonblast. It doesn't really have anything else. I guess you could run Draining Kiss, but like it's just Fairy Stab, and I think it gets like Psychic, so it's really walled by like Steel types. But as a Fairy type attacker, not being like choice locked, because you could run like Specs Florges or something, or Specs Sylveon with like Hyper Voice, but not counting those, I think Floette is pretty okay. If you're in a draft though, and other megas are allowed, which in SDS I'm only allowing new megas until Champions comes out because I want to test the new megas. But if old megas are also allowed, I think there's really no point in using this over Gardevoir. And Gardevoir has a lot more points, and it has a lot more moves in his move pool that it can use. Even though Floette is faster, I don't really see it. I think Eel. I think it's another fun low mid tier. They increase its attack and its special attack by I think 30, and they increase its speed by about 30, and its special defense by 10. So unfortunately, they didn't make it bulkier at all. I really wish they made it bulkier. I kind of wish they gave it like Golurk's buffs, Mega Golurk stat buffs, which we'll talk about at some point. I'm sure he's like kind of in the middle of the list right now. Eel is okay. It's gonna have Levitate still, and I think they're gonna keep Levitate on it. So I think the way it plays right now is probably how we're gonna see it in the future, unless they give it Ion Battery like how ZAOU used to have it. But currently, it's just a Mon with a solid defensive, not even like a good defensive spread, but like a solid enough one, and a solid offensive spread with a really good offensive move pool. But you could also run like Coil on it, and I think Coil sets could kind of pop off. You just kind of have to be a bit careful with it. But I think it has potential as a low mid tier, especially over like regular Electros, which I think is just an Assault Vest bot. This is a lot more offensive, which is nice. Starmie, I think, is a great support mon, or even just great with support. Currently, its base stat total was increased by 140. I think we know that it's going to get pure power or huge power when Champions releases, but for now, Showdown has it with the 140 attack stat, which is okay. It allows it to run stuff like Aqua Jet in cases where it needs to revenge kill things that are still faster than it, which there's not a lot of mons that are faster than it because it has 120 speed now, but there's also a lot that are going to outspeed it. Its defenses were increased by, I think, 20 points each, which is solid. Its speed went up by 5, which is okay. Its special attack also still went up by like 30. So you can use it as a solid mixed attacker or just a special attacker. Its ability, I think, is just Illuminate, so unfortunately you're not really going to get much out of it, but I think once it gets huge power, it's just a better mon. So we'll see, but I think currently Starmie's move pool is just way too great to be just a mid tier, but so I think it's good with support. I think I've seen it perform pretty well too, as like a revenge killer mostly. Baxcalibur is another mon I think it's great with support, better than Starmie currently. I was thinking Mega Bax would be banned, but I think currently, since they didn't increase its speed at all, and it can't run an item like Loaded Dice or Boots, or even like Life Orb, Mega Baxcalibur has a little bit more to work for than like what a regular Bax could do, but I think its potential is better than Baxcalibur, or like regular Bax, because its defenses were increased pretty decently. It has like, I think 116 defense or like 117 defense, 101 special defense, something like that. Actually, let me look at its stats. Baxcalibur. Mega Baxcalibur has 105 special attack, 101 special defense, 117 defense with 115 HP. This stat spread is pretty crazy. It's a lot. It's very similar to Kieran Black, and I think it's a little bit better than Kieran Black with the move pool. So, yeah, I think it's a lot like Kieran Black currently, but it can't hold an item like Kieran Black can. But it'll be good with support. It'll be good on like Chili Reception teams, or like Aurora Veil teams with Ninetales. It would mean that you have to draft 2 ice types, but we've seen it happen before. Glamora, it really sucks to put it here, but I think it's just going to be like a fun low mid tier. It's almost more like niche, but I feel like since it's still Glamora, like I can't really place it any lower than this. But there's no reason to use this over regular Glamora, and if you're using it offensively, I think you would just use Nihiligo, which is a little bit faster, and it can hold an item. It can still speed boost. It can special attack boost with Beast Boost or Meteor Beam. Whereas Mega Glamora can't really run Meteor Beam without having to just take a hit, because you can't run an item, you can't hold Power Herb on it. So unfortunately, regular Glamora is just better, because regular Glim likes running stuff like Red Card or Air Balloon, or just it doesn't get knocked, but it kind of relies on its item currently. And without an item, I don't see Mega Glim being able to really do much. And they kind of wasted a lot of points in its attack stat by increasing it, I think, 35 up to 90 points. Its speed being 101 is solid, but I don't think it's enough to really justify using without an item. And it's, even though it's kind of fast, it's not really fast enough, and it's not really bulky enough, and its typing is kind of bad defensively. Absol, I think, is going to be great with support. Absol Z, rather. I was originally going to make a tier called Fraud, but when I did it, I only had Absol in it. If I had the old Megas on here, I would have put, like, Aerodactyl with it, but I think Absol does have potential. It's just very frail, and if it's not killing things, it's going to get KO'd. However, its speed is actually 151, and it has a ghost typing now, which means it's not going to get revenge killed by extreme speed or quick attack. It's not going to get killed by vacuum wave or mach punch, which are some of the main priority moves that you see. Its ghost typing means it might live a first impression. We'll see. I kind of doubt it, but it might. And it still has priority itself. It also gave it Shadow Sneak, which is solid. And with its speed set, I don't think there's a point in playing Sucker Punch, so you don't have to really play the mind games as much anymore with Shadow Sneak on its move pool. I do think Absol is going to be kind of a fraud, but especially for what's coming up in SDS, I think someone's going to draft it. I think there's going to be 2 people that are going to want it, so we'll see. And it looks really cool. I like its design a lot. Next up we have Golisopod, which I think is another niche outclassed pick. Unfortunately, I think I'll put it above Victory Bell. It has a Bug Steel typing, which is very, very good, and its stats are overall better than Mega Scissor. So if you're thinking about like Mega Scissor without Roost, that's kind of how it is, except Golisopod doesn't get Bullet Punch. It does get First Impression, which is nice. It gets Aqua Jet, and you could still run it as regular Golisopod if you're preparing for fire types, which is pretty good for it, I think. Having Water Stab initially, and then having Water Coverage after Mega Evolving, because its only weakness is Fire. So I think it's going to be solid. However, it's kind of fucked by its ability right now being Emergency Exit. If they gave it... what I saw was an ability called Ejected, and I forgot what metagame it was, but because it was like Among Us themed, but it basically meant that if you're below 50% at the end of the turn, you regenerate 20% of your health and then you switch out. I think that would be perfect for Golisopod, and I think it would be worth using, but with Emergency Exit forcing you out as soon as you go under half, that kind of sucks, especially when you're a slow mon. And even though you'll get off a First Impression, most likely, the second hit that it takes, it's probably going to be forced out, so you're going to just be wasting turns with it. But it does have tools like Spikes, Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, Aqua Jet, so it has a lot of tools. It's just seeing how well that can come together, to be honest. Next up we have Dragalge. I think, unfortunately, I have to put Dragalge here. I think there's no point in using this Dragalge over regular Dragalge, because regular Dragalge has adaptability, which means it's going to be stronger than Mega Dragalge, and it can also run like Assault Vest. And other than that, if its special attack, if its stabs at least are better than Mega Dragalge, and it can run an item that increases its special defense more than Mega Dragalge got, the only point in using Mega Dragalge is because its defense increased by like 15, which I just don't think is enough to justify using it. So I'm hoping in Champions that they either keep adaptability on it or they give it Regenerator. I think if it gets Regen, it's gonna go up to here, but without those abilities, I think with adaptability it's probably like here, but without it, it's just not that good. Its typing is solid enough, and it doesn't need adaptability to hit hard. It's just you'd rather use regular Dragalge with an item, especially something like Boots, because this is really worn down by hazards when his HP stat is really low and it doesn't have a recovery. Dragonite, I think, is going to go on the top of Great with support. It's a very good Mon. They turn it into a special attacker with solid bulk and still solid enough speed where you could actually run Adamant and Dragon Dance on it, and it's stronger than Jolly regular Dragonite with Dragon Dance. It's stronger with an Adamant nature as opposed to Jolly, and it's faster with an Adamant nature as opposed to Jolly regular Dragonite. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me that made sense. But yeah, you could run Dragon Dance on it, but you could also just run special coverage on it, and it hits really hard. Mixed coverage is also really good on it. I've seen Ironhead delete things like Sylveon or like Clefable in like a draft setting already, so it's very solid. I think Chime... Did I put Chime in mid-tier? I think I put Chime in mid-tier. I think its defensive profile is too solid to not put in just fun. Originally, I would have put this in like a fun low mid-tier pick, but I think it's just mid-tier. It doesn't get rock. Does it get rocks? I don't think so. I don't think it gets rocks, but it has Levitate as a steel type, which is very, very solid. A lot like Bronzong, except its defenses are a bit better. Its HP is better. Actually, I think its special defense is better, but its defense is a bit lower. But its special attack and its speed are a lot better, and it has a lot more moves that can help it set up both defenses or special attack with either Calm Mind or Cosmic Power, and it gets Stored Power. They give it Flash Cannon as Steel Stab as well. I think it might be above Clefable. It's just, its stats are solid, but I don't think they're good enough to really justify using over like Metagross or even like Bronzong, because Bronzong isn't a Mega, or you could use Iron Crown or Jirachi, which they all have their own niches above Chime. Chime, of course, has its own niches, but I'm not sure if it's worth to use it over other options, but we'll see. I think it'll get drafted, and I think it'll perform well, but I did have to say what I did about it. Yeah, I think Chandelure, I think I put it above Eel. That's fine. They're all very close. Like these middle tiers, I think, are very close. So are the bottom tiers. I think I'm putting Absol. I'm putting Absol above Starmie, below Bax for now. Who was I ranking? Mega Chandelure. Its speed just didn't increase enough to really justify using it over like other offensive fire, offensive ghost types. Its special attack is really high, and they also increase its defenses quite a bit. I think if you're gonna use Mega Chandelure, you really have to use like Flame Charge, or you have to use it with a bunch of slower pivots to help it get in to break something. But I've also seen Chandelure just not hit as hard, and you could still use regular Chandelure with Boots or like Choice Scarf or Specs, and it just hits harder. It isn't as tanky as Mega Chandelure, but I think it's still slow enough to stand on its own, so we'll see. I don't think anyone really picked it up in the team tour that I'm in either. There might be like one or two, but it's a very niche pick. But it'll be a fun Mon for sure, and I think its points are lower than I think regular Chandelure was in Gen 8. Because I think regular Chandelure is placed at like 10 or 11 points in Gen 8. Now it's at like 5, and I think Mega is like 8 or 9 points at most. I did put things a bit higher on the tier list than I think they should be, just to be safe, but you never know. I think a Mon that surprised everyone is Meganium, which I will put above Chimecho. Meganium is really strong. Its move pool is phenomenal now with Dazzling Gleam as stab. Doesn't even need Move Blast. Dazzling Gleam is good enough for it. It also still has Synthesis. It has Giga Drain. It has Knockoff and Dragon Tail, so you can use it as a You can use it to pivot around things and chip them. Its defenses are very solid at, I think, 115 each, with its HP being, I think, 80. Even its speed tier is pretty solid for a tank mon. And it's just overall, like, it's a solid mon. And I think it's very respectable. I've seen it used in ZA Tours and as well as draft format already. And I've seen its matchups look very good, surprisingly. I know Grass Fairy isn't the best typing in the world, but being only 4 times weak to Poison as like the main weakness is not that bad. But I think a mon that's a little bit better than it is going to be Chestnut, which I think I'm going to put it... I want to put it above Absol, but I think I'll put it below Absol for now. Chestnut is a very solid pick. Its defense skyrocketed, and so did its special defense, which I didn't expect from it, while they also lowered its speed and upped its normal attack stat by like 30, so it hits very hard, whether or not it's body press coming off its defense, or if it's like wood hammer close combat, which hits very, very hard. And its special defense is enough to be able to live coverage flying moves and like poison moves. Unfortunately, right now it has to deal with running overgrow, but that's fine. I've seen Mega Chestnut work very well on Tapu Koko Iron Moth teams as the ground resist for it, and it's very solid at doing that. And I think it pairs pretty well with Koko. Even though I think the Raichus currently on Showdown have Surge Surfer, and you might want to use a Raichu, you could also use Chestnut as a ground resist, and I think it's very solid. Next up, we got Golurk. I think Golurk, I'm going to put it above Tatsugiri. I'm going to put... Yeah, I don't really like Tatsugiri in that mid-tier. I'm trying to... There we go. Golurk is okay. Its stats increased quite a bit with its attack and its defenses. I think its attack went up by like 35 and its defenses went up 25. Paired with its 89 base HP, it's solid defensively. And Ground Ghost is actually pretty annoying typing to deal with. It's not the best, but it does have its potential in some aspects. It's just kind of a better version of Golurk. It's going to fit both on, I think, Trick Room styles and, not Tailwind, but it can Rock Polish. So it has both of those options, and I think it's going to be solid for both. Even if it's not like the main playstyle you use, but if you pair it well with something like a Slowbro or like I don't know, just a Trick Room setter, or a Mon that can pivot into it safely, Golurk will be pretty solid, and it has a good move pool. Its ability is going to be Iron Fist until Champions comes out as well, so it just helps its coverage moves. Not as much as its stabs, because you're not really going to run Shadow Punch over Poltergeist, but it has stronger coverage moves, which is nice, like the punches, for example. Next up we have Skarmory, which I think is going to be a great mon with support. It seems to pair really well with Volt Absorb mons or something like Raging Bolt that take the electric hits for it, and something like Raging Bolt also helps take the fire hits for it, which is very nice. Mega Skarmory has weak armor as well pre-Mega, which is nice. So you can increase its speed and also invest a bit in bulk. I've also seen Mega Skarmory run bulky sets still, because its attack set and speed are solid enough where you can invest a little bit in them for specific mons and still be defensive enough to check whatever you need to. It still gets like Taunt Roost, you still get Spikes, and Stealth Rock, you still get Defog, so it's just a solid mon. I would say it should get drafted in every draft. I could see it being drafted more than Dragonite. I think Dragonite is a better mon, but I think Skarmory is safer, if that makes sense. Staraptor, I think, is just another solid, fun mid-low tier. I think it's worse than Hawlucha, which is unfortunate as they were both introduced in ZA, but it has 110 speed, 140 attack, which is 3 points higher than Hawlucha. Um, I'll actually talk about them together. I think Hawlucha is a mid tier. I think Hawlucha is actually probably like top of mid tier. Staraptor is probably like top of like fun. So the reason I have Hawlucha like a lot higher up, like a whole tier higher up than Staraptor, is because Hawlucha has Encore, and it has Sword. Does Staraptor get Swords Dance? I think only Hawlucha gets Swords Dance. But it has Swords Dance. It starts off as a fighting flying type as well. So you don't have to worry about coming in on rocks. Actually, now I think about it, I'm going to put Staraptor up here. But Staraptor is still worse than Lucha. The thing that Staraptor does have over Lucha is Intimidate. Especially on the turn you Mega Evolve, you're going to get off a double Intimidate for now until they change its abilities in Champions. However, Lucha just has a bit more coverage. Just has more options, and having Encore and a higher speed stat, especially when it outspeeds the 110s and 115s, it's just very solid for what it does. And Mega Hawlucha has stuff like Limber as its ability too, which is actually it's better than you'd think, because it means you're not gonna get nuzzled by Raichu. Even Raichu's probably killing you, but you're not gonna get paralyzed by like a stray Thunderbolt from some coverage mon. Whereas Staraptor can get paralyzed, but yeah, Staraptor is gonna be fun though. It has strong moves with like Brave Bird, Close Combat, U-Turn. It has Blaze Kick and Knockoff now, which I think Lucha doesn't have Knockoff, but it has most of the other tools that Staraptor has, that it just overall makes it more of a solid pick than Staraptor, whereas Staraptor is more of an offensive pick. But they're very, very similar, and I think overall, like, they're also very similar to Galarian Zapdos, which can hold an item. So that's unfortunate. Next up, we have our new Strong Run 1 pick. This is, I think, the best Mega Evolution out of the ones that aren't banned. Greninja's very solid with 142 speed, which speed ties Dragapult. 133 special attack and like 125 attack. Very solid there as well. Most draft leagues will probably ban it from running Battle Bond pre-Mega. Mega, unfortunately, is stuck with Torrent, but I've seen a lot of instances where Greninja gets put down to pretty low health. And then Torrent does end up activating, which is very helpful for Water Shuriken that can revenge kill other Scarfers that are trying to kill it, as well as stronger Hydro Pumps or stronger Surfs, Dark Pulse, Sludge Wave. You can run it physically as well with like Gunk Shot. They gave it both SD and Nasty Plot, so it's a very solid mon. I think it's potentially ban worthy, but I think it's worth testing for now. But I think if they do end up banning it, they'll probably just unban it, but ban Plot from it. That's what I would say. Yeah. Next up, we have Crab. I really like Crab. It's, if you look at its bulk, it has 97 HP, 122 defense. I think 107 special defense. It's very, very solid. And I think it pairs very well with Slowking. Either of them, both as a Trick Room setter and a Chilly Reception user to increase its defense, and also pivot into Crab so it can increase, so it can move first under Trick Room. It's going to be very solid there. Other than that, I don't really see Crab having a niche, but it's a niche nonetheless, and I think it's one of the better mons in the lower tiers. It is going to be placed tier-wise, I think, below some of these guys, but it's just because it requires more support than something like Victory Bell or Dragalge or Raichu. Ice Fighting is just not a good defensive typing, but it is one of the best offensive typings, and it has really strong moves like Close Combat, Ice Hammer. They gave it Ice Spinner as well, Earthquake, Drain Punch. But even outside of a Trick Room setting, they also gave it Mach Punch, and they gave it First Impression, which I think is very solid for revenging Psychic types and just things that are faster than it that threaten it. So yeah, very solid. Um, I think Crab will perform very well in draft. Someone just has to be ballsy enough to use it. Might be me, you never know. Darkrai is another mon I think it's just I would say great with support. I don't think it needs as much support as like Dragonite. It doesn't need as much support as like these other guys do, but I don't. It's not a strong round one pick. I probably should have had like a tier between these. I would have put Darkrai there. Um, but you can use Darkrai in base form with the speed stat. It still has a solid special attack stat, and I feel like the last time I used Darkrai, I didn't really use Life Orb. I might have used Scarf for like specs once or twice, but for the most part, I felt like it didn't need an item, so that's a point towards Mega Darkrai. However, Mega Darkrai has really good bulk, and they increase its special attack and its regular attack stat by a lot, so I can expect it to perform pretty well. It has really good coverage. Yeah, it's just kind of a bulky monster, and if you need it to tank a hit, that's when you can Mega Evolve, Revenge Kill something, and that's kind of what it can do. Does it get agility? It might get agility. I'm not sure, but it also has like Sucker Punch, so if you want to run like Swords Dance on it, I've seen Swords Dance sets like do decently for it, so yeah, solid. Next up we have Barbercole, which I think is going to go above Glimora. Rock Fighting is not great defensively, but it's kind of like Golisopod, where it can still use its water moves, as it used to be a water type, to hit things that it would be weak to, like grounds, which is very solid. Its speed and its defenses were increased quite a bit, as well as its attack stats, so I can see it running Rock Polish, I could see it running Dual Dance with Polish and Swords Dance, or just Swords Dance. I used Mega Barbercole in a Speed Tour. I think I allowed it with Shell Smash, but I didn't really run Shell Smash on any of its sets. I think even with Shell Smash, it would probably be here, but I think I'd rather have a Mon that can do more than be like a 10-point more expensive Mon with a stupid move that gets Mirror Herbed and Revenge Killed. For that reason, I think I'd rather keep Shell Smash banned. But it's a very solid Mon. It has good defenses, good attack stat. I actually kind of forgot what its stats were, but I respect what it does. Mega Garchomp Z, I think, is just a strong round one pick. I'll put it above Excadrill. The thing with Garchomp is I teetered on banning it, but the problem with Garchomp is it loses its ground typing, which kind of sucks for it. And it turns it into a special attacker, which is it's fine. And they decrease its defense by like 10. They didn't touch anything about its attack stat, which is what its main attacking stat was before. So they kind of made it like, I don't know, like they didn't make it bad because they increased its speed by so much, but they purposely like they made it as balanced as possible for the attack stats. I think potentially they could have also just left its defense and made its special attack 131, so it would have been like a true mix attacker. But I think people they'll get away with trying to run like Nasty Plot on it. Unfortunately, as a Nasty Plot mon, it's not going to break through like any fairies, which it's kind of a struggle for it. But you could also get away with running physical coverage on it with either Iron Head or Poison Jab. It's just not going to hit as hard as potentially regular Garchomp would, especially when it loses Ground Stab, and it only has Dragon Stab. So I think it could be ban worthy, but I think it's still worth testing. They also gave it Nasty Plot, which is solid, but yeah. And also 151 speed is just really good. And most teams are going to need a Scarf to outspeed it, because I think there's only like 2 or 3 mons that outspeed it naturally. Other than that, speed tying things. I'm gonna put Lucario. I'm gonna put Zeraora. I'm gonna put Magearna. I'm gonna put Zygarde up here. There's no reason to really talk about them. They're gonna be banned. Zygarde, even if Mega Zygarde is just worse than Zygarde complete with an item, especially when they nerf Nihil Light, and I'm not sure what they're gonna do with that move in the future. It's still Zygarde complete, which is just banned. Zeraora, they increase its attack stats by like 45 points each. It has a really good move pool, really good coverage on both physical and special with really high stats, and a higher speed stat than even Garchomp Z. Magearna is freaking Magearna, and they just made it better. Lucario is a lot like regular Mega Lucario, and they just increase its speed way more, and they increase its special attack by a lot. And I think they're gonna give it an ability that makes it like way too good. Otherwise, I could actually potentially see it being like here because if it doesn't kill something, it's going to get killed back. But unfortunately, on Showdown currently, it has adaptability, and I really don't want to face adaptability Mega Lucario. But if they give it a bad ability, it might be fine. But with a good ability, a good offensive ability, particularly, no thanks. Next up, we have Heatran. Heatran is going to be great with support. I think it's going to go above Chestnut. Um, its speed went down a little bit, but its special attack and its special defense went up so much where it was already a really good special tank, but now it's just even better. Typically, Heatran gets knocked off anyways, so having no item is fine for it. But it is weak to ground, so you do have to support it with a ground or like a terrain setter. I think something like Rillaboom, and like we've already seen Rillatran in the past, but I think Rillatran is just better now with the Mega Evolution. I think you could also pair it with like Aloe to Wish Pass into it, just to stick around a lot longer. Its physical attack stat went up a lot as well. I think it's like what 120, which is solid because people I've already seen people run like Heavy Slam Heatran to hit stuff like Clef, and now it's just even better. Um, so yeah, it's a solid mon. It's definitely a mon that I would consider drafting. Um, yeah, Meowstic. I think a solid mid tier. They made its speed stat I think 124, which speed ties were Bombi, but outspeeding like Torm, Meow, regular Gren, Sneasler, that is huge for Meowstic. And they also gave it Earth Power. They gave it Moonblast. It has Nasty Plot. They also gave it like three different types of hazards, which is very good. It does. You do have to pick between male and female, but I think you're mostly going to be picking female, because female is the one that got the offensive moves, and they didn't really make Mega Meowstic worth using defensively. And if you're trying to use Meowstic defensively, like you're just going to use male regular Meowstic with like Light Clay or Focus Sash. But I like Mega Meowstic. I think it's very solid. And I think it's pretty balanced. Where its special attack set I think is the same as Mega Meganium, but it has really solid like moves offensively, and they gave it coverage to hit steals, which it really wanted. With the Earth Power, it has T-Bolt to hit like Corv, um, and Moonblast is just a broken move as well. So a lot of good things going for Meowstic. I think it's gonna be very solid. Um, it actually makes me want to put it like here. I think it also has Encore, so it has that going for it over Lucha, but it is a pure Psychic typing, so if there's other Psychic type Megas that are allowed, like Gallade or like I think this is better than Gardevoir just based off the speed stat, but um I think there's more point. I think in the Gen 9 meta, being more offensive and fast, I think Meowstic has a lot more going for it than even like Gallade or Gardevoir. But Gallade is still going to be like up here in the tiers. But I just don't know about Meowstic yet. I don't think it's bulky enough to really consider it like a top tier threat. Drampa is it's another like mid low tier. I kind of see Chandelure, Drampa, and Eel as like very similar mons, where they're kind of like semi bulky with not the best defensive typings, um, but also a really high special attack set. I think actually I put Drampa like I'm gonna put it above. Um, I'm gonna put it above Chandelure. I was gonna put it above Frostless, but I remembered Frostless has a speed stat. Um, Drampa has stuff like Calm Mind. I think it might have Cotton Guard, but it also has like Defog Roost. Um, and it has good stabs with Hyper Voice and Draco Meteor. They also gave it Earth Power in Legend ZA. Flamethrower, so it has really good coverage. And pretty solid bulk. Its HP isn't high enough, but I think its defenses are good enough to justify using it. Um, it has Berserk as its primary ability, so have fun using Berserk Drampa. However, it's too slow and its defensive typing isn't good enough to really justify putting this higher, if that makes sense. But I think it's a solid mon. If you can slot it on your team, that's very good. And even you if you can afford to slot it on your team, you still get value out of it. It still has tools, especially like glare. It has glare. I think it's very good. So I could be underrating this. I think I'm actually underrating this, but I don't really know if it's better than Frostlass. Frostlass might actually be more like a mid tier. I don't know. Some of these mid tiers, I think Starmie. I'm actually gonna put Starmie. No, hmm. Because now that I've filled up these higher tiers more, I think I'm gonna put Chestnut here, and I'm gonna put Starmie here. Actually, I'm gonna leave Chestnut here. But it's like kind of teetering between mid tier and great with support, just because its typing is so, eh. Scrafty is another mid tier. I think it's probably worse than Lucha. Um, I think people very overhyped this at first because it has Parting Shot in ZA. Um, but it's still a fighting dark type, which isn't as good as it used to be. Um, as you can see with like Urshifu single strike is like not even close to like a top tier mon anymore. Like it's fallen so far to like it's only as good as like Tapu Fini at this point. Urshifu single strike and its speed stat isn't good enough, and Mega Scrafty like its speed stat is still really low, and after a Dragon Dance, it it needs like Jolly Nature to outrun stuff like Torn. Um, and if you're running Jolly Nature, you're not running Adamant. Its attack stat is 130, which is solid, but you're not running an item to boost it. And you're likely not running. It doesn't look like a mon that would want to run close combat. You could if it kills things, but I see a lot of people running like Drain Punch on it, which is just not a strong move, and its coverage moves aren't very strong. Um, I do think it'll be good though. I just don't think it's worth using it over like Halucha if you have a fighting type mega slot available. Um, it might be worse than Meganium. I think Meganium's point tier is going to be lower overall because Grass Fairy typing is not good, but defensively, it's not that good defensively, and it doesn't have setup like Scrafty does. But I think Scrafty is not going to be as easy to use as people think it will be. Now we have Delphox. Delphox is freaking broken. I am happy that they made Delphox like as good as they could possibly make it. I think they made Delphox and Chestnut like the best they could possibly be, which is very nice. I think if Delphox was like 2 points higher with speed, it would be banned. Because there are some 135s that if it outsped, I think it would be worth considering banning it because its matchups would just be so much better. Talking about like Mega Main, Mega Lopunny. Um, no, actually, that might be it. Iron Bundle, I think potentially if it outsped Iron Bundle, like it'd just be worth banning it. Um, but Delphox being a little bit slower than those, I think is perfect. Its special attack stat is super high. Its special defense stat is good enough to where it can tank special hits, but they didn't make it defensive, meaning it's gonna get killed by a lot of dark moves. or like ghost moves and priority, which is it's keeping it balanced. It also can't run boots or a boosting item, and its ability right now is Blaze, and I think Delphox is pretty broken with Blaze. But I think it's worth considering to test it. But I think these two mons, Gren and Delphox, I think these are the new like pick one, pick two, which is it's very fitting that they're Kalos starters, megas. Chestnut unfortunately isn't up here with them, but I do like Chestnut. Someone will use Chestnut. Um, I think these two they don't require support like Drill does. They're not as weird as Garchomp since Garchomp loses a typing and Mono Dragon just isn't good. But like Fire Psychic is very good offensively. Water Dark is very good offensively. They're both very fast, very strong. They have good setup with plot. Delphox has Calm Mind. I've seen agility in Teen Tours. I really like Delphox. I just love that mon. Raichu Y really surprised me. I think I'm putting it above Heatran. Um, this thing is I'm putting it above Absol. This thing is very fast, 130 speed, 160 special attack. That is crazy, and it has such a good special move pool too. Um, with its electric moves, it has Surf. It has Alluring Voice, Grass Knot. That's kind of all it needs. Again, Volt Switch. You can also run E-Speed on it, which is solid because it gained 10 points in attack. I can actually delete this tier now. That bottom tier. Um, it's very good. Its main problem is it's not very fat. I think it'll take a hit, especially on the special side. On the physical side, though, if it gets hit, it's dying. But I think the nice thing about this is most ground types are going to fall to Grass Knot. And if you can kill them with Grass Knot, you can Volt Switch on everything else. And if you outspeed them, good. The main thing with Raichu is you're going to have to watch out for other Scarfers that are outspeeding it. And actually, though, on Showdown, it currently has Surge Surfer. So if you want to use this with Coco, and by the way, this mon is stronger than Tapu Koko. In Electric Terrain, which I think also means Alluring Voice is not that much weaker than Stab Dazzling Gleam on Coco. So it's basically Tapu Koko with no item, but it's going to be cheaper. Like I think I have it at like 14 points, which I could be very overrating it. It is a pure electric type after all, and pure electric types aren't very good, but this thing's coverage and its special attack is high enough to justify me, I think, just putting it high. Whereas other electric types like Zeraora, they don't have the attack stat that Raichu has, you know? So, very good. This also nasty plot. This thing is gonna be freaking gross. Um, if you compare it with Coco, while it has Surge Surfer or something like that, makes it even better. It makes your team synergy like you're very weak to ground, I guess, but you know, you can use it. And yeah, I do have to let in my farm animals, so this will be the end of the video. I appreciate everyone watching. If you're an SDS especially, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and maybe if you can take these considerations in account. If I get 16 players, there's definitely more than 16 megas that are worth drafting. I think there's only like five of these guys I wouldn't draft like in at all. I think that would be these bottom three, which I'm close to thinking I would draft Pyroar. I talk myself into drafting Pyroar, but then I'm like, I haven't tested it enough with Rivalry to really think that it's worth using. I would not use Glim. I would not use Glim. I can see someone wanting to use Glim though. I see reasons for using this, but I personally would not use it. I'd also probably not use Dragalge, unfortunately. Everything else though, I could see myself using it, or other people. And I've seen people that they like Dragalge. If they like the design, they're gonna use it. Same with like Scoville, and I'm sure someone's gonna meme and pick Malamar too. So I'm not worried about these guys not getting drafted, but I'm excited to see who does get drafted and who doesn't. And I'm excited to see who performs. Like, I'm hoping like the crab gets picked up and we see it used in Trick Room very well, or like Eel just picking off KOs and like surviving hits, or Drampa. I'm very excited to see what these guys can all do. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys when SDS starts up, or, well, I'm going to be recording another video tonight, actually, and probably one tomorrow as well, so yeah, I guess I'll see you guys then.